Hey, welcome. I'm Roanne, and I want to introduce some new ideas to you today. So let's jump right in, and I'll introduce myself and my work as we go along. What is your health paradigm? Now, if you look at this image here, what do you see? A couple guys doing some, mopping up the floor, the faucet, still running with the sink overflowing. Now, the reality is that what we are really doing right now in healthcare is mopping up the floor. We are treating symptoms and managing disease. Now, this is not knocking what modern healthcare has achieved. I mean, modern medicine does amazing things, particularly with repairing physiology. I mean, we have robotic surgery, for Pete's sake, and people are going home the same day, back to work in 2 days for things that would take a week or longer. However, almost 50% of the US population have at least one chronic disease, at least one. Chronic, as it's persisting, it's repeating, it's not going away. So what I want to share today is a new yet old paradigm, self-healing. Self-healing is about our body's miraculous ability to auto-regulate. Its natural tendency and desire to go towards equilibrium and balance. It's how we turn off the faucet. So my name, like I said, is Roanne, and I am a holistic lifestyle coach. I'm also a lifestyle prescriptions provider and a thermobuzzer imaging specialist. I also present workshops and I do speaking engagements, and everything I do is around educating. Even the process that I use with my clients, a big part of it is about awareness and education. Lifestyle, you'll notice lifestyle and holistic occurs in the titles because a huge part, again, of what I do is based in lifestyle medicine. Now, on the screen here, you'll see some of what lifestyle medicine has accomplished. Not can accomplish, but has, like it's proven. It's done these things. Right? Dean Ornish's lifestyle program has been proven to reverse heart disease and is now covered by Medicare. Now, you know that Medicare isn't going to cover just any and everything. So the fact that they're covering this means that there is no dispute about it working, right? There is research upon research upon research, and it's 100% clear that stress, emotions, diet, and exercise all have an effect on our health. I think at this point, everyone knows this, right? That we can affect these things like weight loss, cholesterol, heart disease, blood pressure with things like diet and exercise, like lifestyle. My question today to think about is how do we make this specific to each person? Because we are not exactly all the same. Now, lifestyle medicine is one modality that is based, what my coaching is based on. The other one is the 6 root causes of all symptoms. So check out this little wheel to the right here, right? And there are the 6 root causes that I use in my practice. Now, the 6 root causes is how I am able to be specific with each individual client, because we all have different beliefs, which is one of the root causes. We all have different emotional reactions to the same situation, which is another one of the root causes. Now, for example, 2 people get on a roller coaster. One of them is going to be super excited and one person is going to be scared to death, right? Chances are that that can happen. We're all so different. Like our social world is different and our lifestyle is different for each person. So no one individual has had the exact same life experiences, and no one person, like, compared to another, interprets these experiences exactly the same. So I want to share with you, first of all, about the first root cause. And I'm going to explain this one, and then I'll just share the other 5, with you. So this first one says organ tissue, brain relay conflict theme. Now, we know what an organ is. So like your heart, stomach, brain, your skin. They're all organs. But in each organ, you can have different tissue. For example, in the skin, you have the dermis and the epidermis. They're different tissue. The cells are not exactly the same, and they have different functions. So that's what I mean by organ tissue. Now, brain relay. Now, every organ tissue has a corresponding location in the brain. When there is a trauma to that organ tissue, there is scarring in that relayed brain area. And I don't mean like a scab on your skin, but you get a mark of scarring that when you do brain scans, you can see it, right? Now, this trauma can be emotional. So it doesn't have to be like a physical trauma. Emotional trauma causes scarring in the brain also. And then conflict theme. Now, a conflict theme is a general statement that has to do with the function of that tissue and the emotional conflict that affects the real life function of that tissue. That may sound like a mouthful, but I'm going to repeat it. The conflict theme is a general statement that has to do with the function of that tissue and the emotional conflict that affects the real life function of that tissue. Now, this may sound all strange, and I'll give you some real life examples shortly, but here are the other 5. So number 2 is the stress trigger. Number 3, emotions. Number 4, beliefs. Number 5 is social. And number 6 is a lifestyle. And these are the 6 root causes that I use in my practice to be specific with each of my clients. Now, based on the lifestyle medicine, there's a research link at the bottom for you. You can go to that link and you can check out a list of research that backs up the root causes and the lifestyle medicine. So we'll move on. Now, using the lifestyle medicine and the 6 root causes, I work with my clients on their stress triggers and then prescribe to them personalized lifestyle changes to implement between sessions, so that over the course of us working together, that my clients' self-healing, like the innate ability of their body to heal, is activated. And this is what today, at the end of today's presentation, you're going to have 2 things for yourself that you can implement. Yay. While lifestyle prescriptions is fairly new compared to standard Western medical procedure, lifestyle prescriptions is already being used by a growing network of people around the world, from doctors to health coaches, nurses, psychologists, therapists. All are involved incorporating lifestyle prescriptions into their daily practice and helping their clients with incredible speed and having amazing results with them. So that's exciting. So let's move on into the first key question for this presentation. Do symptoms mean your body is under attack? I hope you guys like my little Doctor Strange pun on the side there. All right, so that's the first question. Now, diagnosis, getting a diagnosis seems to give people comfort, right? We get the relief of, well, now I know what's going on with me. And at one point in my life, my diagnosis was spontaneous AFib. So if you're not sure what AFib is, it is when the atrium, the A, right, it's short for atrial fibrillation, the atrium, the top chamber of your heart, top chambers, so it can come from either side, is not beating in rhythm with the other part, the ventricle of your heart, right? So the fibrillation means that it's not in rhythm, it's out of rhythm. And that was my diagnosis, was spontaneous AFib. And so here was some things that I learned over the course of seeing a multiple cardiologists and different doctors, that my issue, my AFib issue, was not a structural thing. Right? There was nothing physically wrong with my heart. My heart didn't have a defect, it didn't have a hole, it didn't have anything out of place. So it was structurally well. Now, every time I would have an attack, I would feel it coming on, because, and I would panic, honestly, because the first few times I did not know what was going on, and I swore I was dying. I was like, I would panic. You know, what else would you do when you're like, my heart's not beating right, and I don't know why, and I don't know how to change it, and I don't know how to stop it. It's scary. After the third cardiologist gave me the same diagnosis, and said, like, apart from prescribing me a blood thinner, there was really nothing they could do for me. So saying it was spontaneous AFib sounded like they were giving me a diagnosis, right? But what I realized is that they just didn't have a cause. They did not know what was causing my AFib, and they didn't know how to stop it from happening. Now, with this marvel of a body and this supercomputer brain that we are still learning new things about every day, why would my body do something random or spontaneous? I mean, even a real computer doesn't do random and spontaneous things, right? It may seem like it, but the computer is just functioning within its programmed parameters. And it's only doing things based on the information that we put into it. So why would my body do that? Now, up to this point, I used to think that a diagnosis was what was needed to know what action to take. But now I don't believe that. A diagnosis is defined as the identification of the nature of an illness or a problem by examination of the symptoms. So to take action, what we really need to know are what the symptoms are. Ouch. Paper cut. Paper cuts hurt, right? And what about when they start to heal? You may get a little swelling, a little tenderness, you know, you can't really touch it. You touch it on something, it hurts, Mom. You get a little inflammation. My question is, do we trust that process, or does that scare you? Like when you get a paper cut and it starts to heal, are you scared that the cut is healing? Why are you not scared? Because when we get a paper cut, we know the reason we have the cut. And we trust that our body can self-heal, you know, to do what it knows how to do best, that our body can heal this cut. We trust that. Now, when you break a bone, is it the cast that heals the bone, or is it your body that heals the bone? Right? So just like the cut, the paper cut, the same thing happens when we break a bone. You have over a few months, the bone goes through its own self-healing process. Now, did you realize that bones have an inflammatory phase also? Just the way your finger would get a little inflammation in it when that cut is healing, same thing happens with your bone. Now, when you break your bone, there are blood vessels in your bone that get torn also. And the inflammatory phase involves the release of cytokines, those growth factors, and the formation of a hematoma, a blood clot. And then that area gets infiltrated by fibrovascular tissue and needs this to form so that the bone matrix can form. And this happens in the inflammatory phase of a broken bone. And in that process, we trust our body to do what it knows how to do best, to heal that bone. Now, what about viruses and bacteria? Now, usually when folks hear infectious disease, viral infection, people panic. You know, there can easily be mass pandemonium when you hear those words. What about diabetes, cysts, tumors? When we have those things, are we still trusting our body to do what it knows how to do best? Or in that sense, in those cases, is our body now attacking itself? Are we trusting or are we panicking? Are we freaking out? Now, what about you? Do you have a health issue or symptom? How do you feel about that? Are you overloaded? Are you confused? Are you fearful about your symptoms? Just think about it for a second. What question do you ask yourself when you have a pain or skin rash or high blood pressure or virus, a breast tumor, or swelling, or some other kind of symptom? Is it why? Do you ask the question why? Do you want to know why? You know, we wonder. And when I had AFib, that was my question for the longest time. It was, why? Why is this happening to me? I need to know why. I think we think if we understand why, then we can fix it. And hence that question. And not having an answer to that question can be scary. I mean, no one likes pain, right? And we tend to panic when we don't feel good, plus we don't know what's going on. Perfect recipe for panic. So that brings us to key number 1 and the first step in our paradigm shift. Symptoms are hidden messages. We must trust our body's healing intelligence. Now, it might not be easy initially, but once we do, everything that we think about health and sickness and disease is going to change. Now, so what's self-healing? Right? Now, self-healing is about our body's miraculous ability to auto-regulate. Our body's natural tendency to and desire, like our body wants to go towards equilibrium and balance. You know, our bodies don't want to be sick. We want to be healthy. Now, self-healing doesn't mean doing nothing. That is the worst misconception ever. Self-healing is the opposite of doing nothing. Self-healing is focused on doing everything needed to support our body's natural self-healing and auto-regulation. It's our responsibility to remove the blocks so our body can do what it knows how to do. And this brings me to question number 2. How do we find the why? You know, the root causes, including the things that show up in our little wheel on the side, on the right side there, stress, the social, the beliefs, the emotions that are impacting and, you know, bringing us symptoms. How do we find that? What's causing it? What's triggering it? What is your specific needle? What's your why? Now, trying to find that out can be like finding a needle in a haystack, right? And most of us get really frustrated and overwhelmed when we think about it. It can be so many different things. Using those 6 root causes and a timeline for self-healing is how we find that needle, right? We don't need to blow up the barn or burn up the haystack in order to find the needle. We can find it. So here's how I spotted a needle close to home. So if you see the picture on the left there, that's me and my oldest nephew about 10 years ago, 11 years ago, and he was a little one. And that's my first nephew. And that's him on the right there. He's the tallest one in the picture, or at least standing the tallest in the picture. But let me tell you about my little baby here. And just so you know, like, this is the same process I use with my clients. I use it with myself. I use it with my family. So my nephew, so this particular story, I happened to be in New Jersey, right? And it was about a week after his mom left to go overseas. Now, his parents are both, military were, and they're very often overseas. They're very often away because it's their job, and that's the job they chose, and that's what they do. And I overhear him saying something about, oh, I gotta get the cream to put on my eczema. And in that moment, it was like a light bulb went off for me. And then I realized that his last outbreak was a few months before, right after his dad left. His dad had left to go overseas to work, and that was when his last outbreak was. And then I realized that, wow, this eczema that he has had since he was a baby was his body's biological reaction to the emotional stress trigger of his parents being away. This poor baby that wanted to be with his parents and couldn't. His skin was reacting. So let's take a look now at how that fits in our 6 root causes. Now think of the story, it's a stressful situation, it's a social situation, it's organ tissue reaction, right? Can you look in that circle and name some of the things that could be contributing to his chronic eczema? Right, like the stress, the emotion. Right, now I'm going to show you a little diagram of that part of what we use for our timeline of healing, right? So if you see in the diagram to the right, that's the skin. You can see the different organ tissues in the skin, the epidermis and the dermis. And next to that is the different reactions that these different organ tissues have along the timeline from stress to self-healing. Now in my nephew, the organ tissue that wanted to touch his parents, his skin, the organ tissue that wanted to receive touch from his parents, couldn't. And it was stressed, and it was showing it by reacting the way that it did. That brings us to key number 2, awareness. Become aware of the physical sensations that accompany your emotions and vice versa. We cannot change what we are not aware of. Now, I've had clients that when I asked them about what they felt in their body, they had no idea. Many people are disconnected from their bodies. And we're taught that pain, even emotional pain, is bad and we have to avoid it at all costs. So we tend to lose that connection to our body because we don't want to feel, we don't want to feel the hard things. But awareness precedes change. We can't change what we don't know exists. Right? So become aware of the physical sensations that accompany your emotions and the emotions that accompany your the physical sensations you may feel in your body. So let me tell you a little more about the AFib I used to get. Now, I knew what it felt like when an episode was coming on. I could tell, I could feel it as it was starting. And after an episode would pass in about 24 hours, I would be physically exhausted, run down, and I needed to rest for a few days. Now, averting the panic that I was used to going into was a huge step for me because there was one particular episode that for some reason I didn't panic. My guess is at that point I'd been through it enough times and I knew I wasn't gonna die. Right? I'm laughing now, but it was serious then. But that particular one, I was like, I know what this is. I knew what it was. And so I didn't panic. And it came on, it, hung out for a little bit. And when that episode was passed, the after effect was not nearly as bad as the previous ones I'd had. Now, at that point, I was aware. So I allowed myself the space to observe what was going on instead of going directly into panic like I was used to doing. So I want you to give yourself a few seconds every day just to notice how you feel in your body, especially when you're having an emotional reaction to something. Actually, how about we do that right now? We'll take 30 to 60 seconds. 60 seconds will be good. And let's just scan ourselves from head to toe. So if you can, close your eyes. If you can't, don't, especially if you're driving, do not close your eyes. But if you can, close your eyes and just put your attention at the top of your head. How does your head feel? How does your head feel? How does, and scan down your body. Just move your attention down. How does your face feel? How does your neck feel? How do your shoulders feel? Are they tight? Do they need a little massage? Maybe some movement? How do your arms feel? Your chest, your stomach? Now, stomach's a nervous place for a lot of people. How does your stomach feel? How's your back feel? How do your hips feel? Your thighs, your knees, your calves, your ankles, your feet. How do they feel? What's coming up for you? Did you notice any throbbing or pain, any tightness? Any particular part felt warm or cold? Did you notice any heaviness or maybe lightness in an area? Did you notice any part of your body relax? Now, just sitting and observing your body is great for paying attention to your body's messages, but it can also help move you into relaxation, right? In just a minute, in just 60 seconds. So, number one, your 2 lifestyle prescriptions. Remember that symptoms are hidden messages. And awareness. Do a 1-minute body scan every day, just 60 seconds. You can set a timer. Those are your 2 lifestyle prescriptions. So let's move on in to learn more about what Shift Your Health is. Right now, this is a program that I created because I wanted to give people a way to be able to take steps for themselves. I find that a lot of folks don't step up and out until something drastic happens. And I don't want that for you. I want you to be able to show up for yourself, to show up for your loved ones, to show up for your church, for your community. I want less sick people in my world. And so that was one reason. So let me go in and share more about this program with you. Right, so this is what you'll be getting during the 4 weeks. It doesn't drag on forever, it's just 4 short weeks. In week 1, we'll be minding and mining our mind. Right, now, if you think about it, what is your mind anyway? Like, is it a physical thing? Is it something else? And how does your mind affect your health? Week 2, we're gonna get into emotions. And as I mentioned before, we're taught to avoid quote unquote painful emotions. Those ones that we don't really like. We don't want to feel sad. We don't want to feel hurt. What do we do about those? And when we do feel like that, how can we uplift our emotions? How can we move from sadness into joy? How can we shift that? Week 3, we're going to get into moving that body. Now, notice it says the what and why and how of exercise for everybody. Not everybody, because we're not all the same, but everybody's body can benefit from movement. So that's what we'll do in week 3. And week 4, food and fuel, because you can eat and drink and be merry and healthy. So we're gonna use those 4 weeks to learn how to improve these 4 areas that affect our health. The next thing I'm really excited about, and it's going to be your holistic lifestyle coaching session. So everyone that signs up for Shift Your Health will get a one-on-one session with me. Now, in this session, this session will be like your first step towards self-healing, right? It's going to be a personal session where we're going to choose your most pressing symptom. We're going to work on the stress triggers for that symptom. And then I'm going to give you personalized lifestyle prescription to move you forward to continue your body's healing. I'm really excited about that one. And then during the program, you also get weekly phone support from me. So if something comes up in between our sessions, you can reach me by phone. Yes, you can. I'm going to give you steps that you can implement into the future, even after our 4-week session is over. And the most important thing about the Shift Your Health program is that you get to feel better. So thanks for doing this webinar with me. I hope it was helpful in educating you. And you can always reach me with questions. Here's that link if you would love to jump into Shift Your Health, and I would love to hold your hand. And let's move forward in creating a more healthier world.